I am also recording. So what had happened is I was trying to get the Ethernet cable to hook up, but every time I hooked it up, unlike last time, it was just like there is no internet coming through this cable. So I don't know how that works. And I was fiddling with it for quite some time, but to absolute no avail. And I tried to do this thing where I like opened up the settings to like, because I think the main problem was it just wasn't allowing me to use internet because it was like, this isn't safe. And I was like, I don't think, any viruses or whatever are going to come through this port. But I mean, who's to say really?
I'll tell you what, if I knew, we wouldn't have a running segment about tech support. So no, I have no idea. Maybe.
Anyway, I'll work on that. That'll be my my new thing. I'm pretty excited for this two grown men, one of which tries to find out how the internet works before Wi-Fi. Can't wait for that little nugget.
Well, I have the off-Broadway play. Sam tries to hook up an audio board that I sort of act out every week.
Yeah.
So I finally got the cords that I need. Well, two of the cords that I need to hook up this audio board from work that I think I talked about 1,100 episodes ago. Anyway, I have a board so that we can EQ our audio and get better. And so here's the setup. It is a board. I'm going to give you the shortest version of this.
Okay.
It takes either XLR or 1/4 inch line in, right? So to get audio in, I can either do it with an XLR cable or a 1/4 inch, right?
Yeah.
I have a laptop. So what I was thinking was I have my mic that I'm speaking into now that you can't see and I'm pointing at for some reason, to go from my mic, which is mini USB, into the computer. Then take your audio, which is from the computer, USB out into the board.
Okay.
USB to XLR out into the board. No, wait, how would this work? Something.
It's
and then
all,
I would take XLR to USB out of the back of the board. Somehow I would take your audio from the computer, put it into the board, then take the audio from the board, put it back into the computer. And then my audio, I think I might just need a different cable or a different microphone because they don't make mini USB to XLR. It's just not. Or maybe it is. Who knows?
Well, I mean, there could be a market for that. It's useful for at least one thing.
It's useful at least one person. So maybe I need an XLR mic. I don't know, or a 1/4 inch. I don't know. I don't know if a 1/4 inch mic is a thing. I guess it probably is. Not. Actually, what am I talking about? Of course, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Is it a thing? You would think with someone who works with cables all day, I would know this, but I don't.
Yeah, that's one of the only things I really know about you is how often you work with cables.
I do work with cables a lot. Anyway, so every week I try to set up this board, and I have two cables now for this. One, which is your audio, which is a USB, into the board. Great. Then from the board out back into the computer, which is USB again.
Yes.
Problem is I have a laptop, and the little USB parts have little housing around them, just to make them a little more sturdy, easier to pull out. And the USB ports on my laptop are too close together, and so I actually can't plug both of those in at the same time. So
People are out to get us, man.
So that's what I've been doing for several weeks. I got a new cord this week, which is why I tried it again, and it didn't work.
Okay.
But my wife brought me pizza in the middle of that story, so that was grand.
That is actually very grand.
Yeah, it's good for me.
What would you say is like a pizza topping you have of choice that is like off the beating path? This is a great question. This is like a get to know you question when you're around a circle of people that you really don't want to get to know.
Sure. So my name's Sam. I'm a freshman. I'm a film major. I live in McCormick. And my favorite pizza topping that isn't a normal pizza topping. Is Italian sausage different enough? It's different from regular sausage.
That's true. I think that's
I
good.
like Italian meat.
I think if that was in a circle, a lot of people would go like do something like that.
Why don't you go ahead and say your answer? Because obviously
yeah.
this is just leading to whatever your weird
I mean,
answer
like, you
is.
know, because I have, there's a lot of like, one thing I've noticed about, I guess, just living in the now is you will.
I hate you. I hate
No,
you.
I mean, like, you know, when you go to a shop of like just a pizza shop, I just want to go to a pizza shop. There are several pizza shops in Louisville that have like a lot of things, and it's like, dude, I just want a pizza, and like I don't want to pay like $30 for it, and I don't really care about all these ingredients. Like I just want like a regular pizza, but. Right. It has become such a thing where like every time I go get pizza with my friends, it's like you can't get Little Caesars or you can't get Domino's or you can't do this. You have to go to these specialty pizza shops, which is just like the biggest gripe in the world and such like a minor thorn in my side. But ever since then, I've found quite a love. I mean, I've always loved this, but I found that other people like it as well. But my name is Zach. I am a freshman. I'm a commuter, and I love black olives on my pizza. I think that is like the way to go.
Hey, Zach. Literally, you know what you're listening to right now?
What?
I just put a black olive in my mouth.
Yeah.
Had black olives on his pizza.
Yes.
They're good.
That is grand. I think I was just, I don't want to say, you know, I was ahead of the curve, but I had just always enjoyed black olives on my pizza, and I was met with so much disdain because it was like, even at my own birthday party, it would be like, oh, black olives on my pizza. It's like, listen, like that's a pipe dream, kid. Like you're getting sausage, you're getting pepperoni, you're getting cheese. Those are the three pizzas. Those are the only three pizzas that'll ever exist. And like, just get used to it.
Look, this is a Shrek 2 birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, so we don't have black olives.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, this is Gaddyland. None of the arcade games in the back work.
No, there is a Gaddyland in Bowling Green, isn't there? Man, I never went.
I don't think there is anymore.
On the mall? A Gaddyland connected to the mall is a real bummer, huh?
Yeah, I know. I had the Gaddyland that I always kind of mix up Gaddyland with CC's. But like just two not great shops. But Gaddyland was the only shop when I was growing up that delivered to our house.
What?
So yeah, right.
What?
And my mom. So this is a fun Zach Johnson childhood was so rough backstory.
Sure.
My mom used to work at a Pizza Hut where she was a waitress at a Pizza Hut, which I guess existed and still do exist. But she hated that job so much when she was like a teenager that she like swore off Pizza Hut forever. And it was like right around the time that Pizza Hut was like launching the stuffed crust, which was my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah, we all remember that day.
Yeah, it really, honestly, where were you? But that is such like a gripe that I had growing up was pizza, like, or Gaddyland, which is like, if you've been to Gaddyland, it's like, all the pizza, they don't make the pizza there. It's like pizza gets there in front of you like a buffet style. And there's just a bunch of like rinky-dink arcade games in the back with VeggieTales painted everywhere. That is the only shop in town that would deliver to our house because we lived like in the country. And I'm putting in the country in air quotes because we didn't live out in the country. We lived like 5 minutes out of town.
Yeah, literally 5 minutes. It's not far at all.
Yeah. So anyway, then Little Caesars happened, and then we got that pizza for a lot of my like late high school life. But most of my childhood was straight Gaddyland.
I'd like to redact my statement earlier when I said Italian sausage was off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I was thinking of was prosciutto, which is a different Italian meat that I would like on a pizza. I feel like they have it at pizzerias, but Italian sausage is like number 3 on the kinds of pizza. It's like cheese, pepperoni, sausage. So I do just want to state for the record that I meant prosciutto and I said Italian sausage.
Yeah. That I can't visualize prosciutto right now, but it sounds pretentious. So good pick.
It's good. It's just like thin meat. I mean, it's a kind of meat. I honestly don't know. It's one of those things that my wife introduced me to of like, here is good food. And I was like, oh, and now I eat it all the time. She also, this week she made onigiri, which is like,
what?
I don't know. Honestly, if I was gonna explain it to you, I would just say she made a sushi roll. But she kept saying onigiri, so I think that's what it's called. I have absolutely no idea. But it was real good, man. She's introduced me to a lot of very, very good food. I had never had Asian food before we started dating, like once.
That's
I'd
good.
never had it of
Yeah.
any kind. I'd never had any, and then she was just like, "Hey, let me take you on this magic carpet ride to Asian food."
Well, that's great because I think that all the staples of boy food I've had already,
Sure.
and I can cook all of them. So like, if like nothing changes my trajectory, it is just going to be eggs and pork forever.
Okay, two things. I do want to mention that I wasn't saying magic carpet ride because Aladdin is set in Arabia. I just meant like a whole new world. And two, this week I brought the groceries. It's usually she. The way we break it down is she cooks and I clean. So I just clean all the pots and pans and she makes the food because we know our strengths.
Yeah.
I cook boy food. Anyway, whatever. This week she was like, I'm just really not feeling it. I really just don't want to cook. Do you want to just be in charge of food this week? So it's not like an every other thing. It was just like this week. She's like, I'm not really feeling it. Do you want to do it? I said, yeah, sure. So we got Sloppy Joe's.
Heck yeah.
And now we're eating pizza.
Heck yeah.
And
Good.
honestly, I can't remember after that. I think a lot of chips and like fruit. I don't like eat bad. I just eat meat and snack on fruit. Like that's it. Like
Yeah,
all my food is like a big plate of meat and then I eat fruit and that's what I like.
Yeah. It's very minimalist.
I guess it's just like I don't know, man. I just can't like I'm into like pasta's good. Like I will eat pasta if you make it, but like I'm just not gonna make pasta. I'm just not gonna do that. Effort for taste, I'm just not as into it as like a good steak. So I just don't ever make it.
Yeah, man, oh man, do I love eating pasta. It is, I mean, it's so easy to make and it makes you think that you can do something, like that is just like the top way of cooking because it just seems like it's so easy. Like most of it's just like putting ingredients into an already boiling thing and you just stir them all together and then you get some noodles and then you're done and it is great. My dad would like exclusively make pasta growing up and now I know why. Because it's like, it is the easiest way to feed a group of people and to trick them into thinking you did something impressive.
Yeah, but like, I don't think after like 2 nights of spaghetti I could really, because that's also my cooking background is like me living alone and it's like, okay, I don't want to have to keep doing this. So I'm going to make a bunch of this. And like, I'm going to make 5 days worth of this food. And this is all I'm going to eat for.
Yeah.
So it needs to be food that I can eat for a week. Cause I'm really going to make enough for me to eat it for dinner 5 times in a row. And I could just never like, spaghetti is good, but I just wouldn't eat that much spaghetti. And like, I don't know. Ravioli's good. I never had Can you believe that? I'd never had ravioli. Like I didn't know.
Ravioli.
I didn't know.
Give me the formioli.
Yeah, I didn't have the formioli. I didn't have ravioli. I didn't have any of it. She was like, "Look at these little pockets of meat and cheese that you can just like put in a pot and eat." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Never had it before. It was delicious."
I think I like when you look back at all the food you ate when you were a kid, it's just like you try not to blame your parents because I think if I was put in a similar like situation, I'd be like, yeah, 100% like Chef Boyardee, that's how it's going to go, man.
Right.
But I ate like exclusively SpaghettiOs and Chef Boyardee, like the raviolis.
Sorry, I'm eating pizza. I'm sure that sounds very good. Look, here's the thing. I had to do some other stuff. I was working on some projects. I was editing some stuff.
I've been seeing your animation. It's looking great.
Thanks, man. I was editing this show as well, and I just didn't have time to make food, and whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm eating pizza. We were a chicken breast family and hamburger helper, and I would say that those two things constituted a vast majority of what I would eat all growing up. Like it was like 3 to 4 nights a week was either hamburger helper or chicken breast for years and years and years. My mom knows how to cook. Like she's a good cook. I'm not gonna sit here and like,
just bash my mom.
Yeah, talk crazy. Like she's a really good cook, and like Thanksgiving's really good, and Christmas dinner, and like we eventually got into this habit once me and my brother left home when we started coming back, for vacation or whatever, or just to see the folks. We would have Sunday brunch, and so like after church on Sunday, we would have like a meal, and that was always really nice. And she would always kind of go all out because like everyone's there. But yeah, kind of the same thing. It was like, yo, if I had to work a job and my husband had to work a job and I had to feed 2 kids, like, yeah, I would probably just cook chicken breast too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. But we also like didn't have, how do I say this? We didn't have enough money to go to restaurants. Does that make sense? Like, we were fine. Like, we lived in a nice middle class neighborhood, but we had enough to live in a nice middle class neighborhood, and we just didn't go to restaurants. So like, I just didn't go to restaurants until like college. I mean, I'd been to a restaurant. Like, I wasn't raised in a barn. You know what I mean? Like, I'd been to a restaurant, but it was just not like a part of what we did. It was just like mom made chicken breast every night, and it was cool. And we hung out and ate dinner together. All that to say, started dating my wife, and just like, she's just like, oh, well, here's this food and this food and this food, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is, but it's amazing. And she's opened up a whole new world of food. And I basically know how to cook chicken breast and hamburger helper. And my mom's enchilada recipe, which is delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that I have nothing to introduce except for just like the dingiest spots. I think that has always been my forte when it comes to any place. I always want to find the ones where the most shenanigans happen, and also the ones that just seem the like least friendly. Those are the only spots that I like. So all like of the food that I've had from other countries has been me attempting to find it in its like worst possible form, and that is just the way that I am. I don't know. I think I enjoy being hated on.
Are you going to Spinelli's? Is that where you're going?
No.
Yo, that's why you're not liking it.
No, I love the thing about Spinelli. The one of the oddest things about Spinelli's is it is probably like, if I were to leave this house right now, I could be at Spinelli's in 4 minutes, easy, like just walking. And that is something that I could.
You got to stop telling people where you live, man. You got to stop doing that.
There are several locations for this place, and also find me, like do it.
I guess.
Yeah, go to Spinelli's, walk 4 minutes in any direction, and then like time yourself. That's my house.
All right, man. Anyway,
yeah,
4 minutes. You're at Spinelli's.
Yeah, well, I never go there. I've only been there twice.
Yo, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I get like that. That is a proper shop in that, like, it just reminds me. There's this other shop in Louisville called Buns, which I am in love with. Buns is a burger place, and it's Bunz because obviously. And when you walk in, there's like maybe 8 seats in there, or like maybe like this, and like an absurdly small amount of seats. You're basically going into a walk-in closet. Like it's like, imagine if a food truck had a lobby. That is what Buns is. And you walk into this area, and you're greeted by 2 guys wearing hats clearly meant to be like over their hair. And one guy, every time I go in there, he's always wearing a Jack Skellington beanie, which I am obsessed with, and pajama bottoms. And he like is just like, oh, hey boss, what can I get for you? And then it's like the greasiest burger you've ever had, and like all the fries in the world, like it will wreck you forever. And it is amazing. And you walk in, and there is just a ton. It reminds me of this bar that Sam and I used to go to when we were in college. It reminds me a lot of. Oh no, I can't remember it.
There's only 4 bars in town.
The one that we always go to.
Is it Hilligan's?
No, not Hilligan's.
Is it Dublin's?
Not Dublin's.
Is it Fruco? Is it Rockies?
It's Rockies. It's Rockies.
Okay, Rockies.
The art on the wall is just like Rockies, and the vibe there is just like Rockies. So there's like all this art on the wall that is just graffiti, but in like a very grotesque way. There's a graffiti of a giant squirrel eating a burger, and above it says Buns with a Z. And it's just this insane magical place. And I find that Spinelli's is kind of the exact same vibe. Like, you have to have a neck tattoo to work at Spinelli's, and you have to have this like look in your eye of like, don't like, I have seen some stuff, like, don't you mess with me. That is like their entirety. And like, I work at a shop on Baxter Avenue, and I once put together a like March Madness of who would win in a fight between all the shops, and Spinelli's won far and away because they have something behind their eyes that is like Like I have been waiting all day to have a reason to lose my mind.
Here's what I'm saying. Spinelli's, the one on Baxter, has on one wall is a comic book wall where like the wallpaper is comic books. Does that make sense? Like, I know you've been there, but like I hope that makes sense to listeners. It's like instead of wallpaper, just imagine like comic books stacked up on each other and then like across the wall. And then the other wall is a giant nude painting of Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
And that is this pizza place. And it also is very good. Like, just don't get me wrong. It's also like a delicious pizza place, but it's just wild. It's just like a very weird, it's very much, and we're not going to sit here and describe the cultural and geographic nature of Louisville again, but it's like very much a Highlands. Ugh, that was a gross noise I made. I made a gross like hacking noise when I was talking. Whatever, man. It's very like Highlands, keep Louisville weird kind of atmosphere, the way Ear Ecstasy used to be until it's a Qdoba now. It's cool. It's just like a cool place. It's like very like weird and wacky and like not a Qdoba.
Yeah.
I like it.
It is. I think it's like one of the things that I love the most about both that place and Buns is it is aggressively not commercial. And that is like their entire understanding of a business model is we're going to run this place into the ground. And I love that. It is just,
well, that's what was,
like it is
that's what
such,
was cool about Rockies.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so aggressively not commercial and like you can get away with anything. And so I think because of that, it has this very like special place in my heart just for being like genuinely insane, but genuine at least.
Right. Sometimes those places are nice because like it's a place to get a break from being like advertised to kind of like it's sort of like as ugly as humanly possible so that you couldn't possibly want it. And like that is comforting. And the thing about Rockies that made it such a little hidey hole, and it's a very popular bar. It's like not like a hidden away place. There's only 4 bars in the town. Like you'll find it. But like what made Rockies so like a nice little place to be is, you spend all day. For you, it was hanging out with the Christian ministry. For me, it was hanging out in a fraternity, and like neither of those groups would be comfortable generally in Rockies because it's just very like disgusting graffiti all over the walls and everyone smokes inside and like there are punk bands. And one time one of my buddies came with me to Rockies and he walked up to the bartender, who's this guy named Timmy, and he was just like, oh, hey man, what do you guys have on special? I was just like, nah man. And he's just like, oh, okay. Do you guys have like buckets? Do you guys have can I get like a pitcher or like a bucket? He's like, I mean, we have PBR for $2. Does that work for you? And he's just like, yeah, I'll just get that. Yeah, I'll get that. And it was like a place that was just very like gross on purpose. And I don't know, whatever. It's a cool bar. You should go to it.
Yeah.
But like it gave you a break where like, cool, no one's going to take an Instagram photo here and like, you know what I mean? Like this is not a place where you're going to like look cool. I think that's what it was for me. I don't know. You're in a different environment than me, but like being constantly surrounded by this Ouroboros of like self-appreciation and like, oh, we need to look cool and we need to constantly be reaffirmed. And then you go to this place where there's like a graffiti of a worm Robin being birthed out of a fat Batman, and it's like there's like vomit everywhere. Not vomit in the place, vomit like graffitied on the wall. It's just like, yeah, man, cool. I don't need anyone's approval here because no one would ever give it to me, and I'm just gonna play pool and talk to my friends. And it was just like a nice little place for me.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of places, I think that, I mean, they definitely still exist, of just there is a war for aesthetics, which is an obnoxious thing to say, but I'll say it anyway. Sure. Like a war for like your advertising comes from your ability to get people to take a picture of it and like post it somewhere. Right. And it is like you see, like, when you go into places, it's like, oh, like, it looks nice, but it's like, this is designed for a purpose. Like, this is not designed genuinely. It is very much for the purpose of, like, looking good. So there's one of the most egregious examples of it is there is this place that I love, and if you ever come to Louisville, you have got to come to this place. It is called Louberry, and it is an acai bowl place, and they serve these, like, giant bowls of, like, basically smoothies with, like, all of these ingredients on top of it, like granola, kiwi, coconut, and, like, all these great ingredients. But it's a very small place, but they have used a big section of the real estate for this grass wall that has Louberry in neon, like neon cursive, just right above where, like, your head would be. And so the only, like, before I ever went there, my only exposure to this place was not their food, but it was people taking pictures of themselves in front of that grass wall that says Louberry above it. And it was just like, it's so funny because when you go there, it's like such a big part of this like restaurant is this wall dedicated to looking aesthetic.
Right.
And at first I was like mad. I was like, man, that's so commercial. That's so dumb. But now I'm like, that's actually a really good business model. Like, way to be, like, just to get people in here by having this, like, you're going to take a picture here because everyone takes a picture here because it's aesthetic.
Well, that's something that's weird to me. And there's a neighborhood in Nashville called the Gulch. And if you ever drive through the Gulch, as a local, like, I do indulge in a little bit of laughing at the people who are taking pictures at the Wing mural. Because there's a big mural.
Where's the I Believe in Nashville mural?
Oh, there's a couple of them. There's one on 12 South,
okay.
but see, that one doesn't deal with it as much that I've seen. I guess I don't go to 12 South very much, but in the Gulch there is this big, mural on the side of a building, and I mean it's all the way up, like it's a 3 floor building, and so it's a very big mural, but it's 2 wings, and it's just these 2 big, very pretty wings, and then there's a blank space in the middle, and what is intended is that you sit in the middle and it looks like you have wings. And anyway, it's fine, it's whatever. And as a local, like, obviously I do indulge a little bit of being like, these people, because on Saturdays, I'm not kidding, there is a line of 200 people waiting constantly all day to take a picture of this. And again, this show is a break from being bummed out and exhausted, so like I don't want to get into like, and I don't want to be a dick, basically. Like, whatever, if you want to take your nice picture, like, that's fine, take your picture. I'm not gonna sit here and make fun of you. There is a little bit of like, so for a fact there's at least 200 other people that are gonna have the exact same photo as you, and also like this happens every single, like, there are tens of thousands of this exact same photo. I don't know, something about that feels like, what's the point? But then again, I stood in line for hours to get a picture at the top of really to get the view, but also, we took pictures at the top of Sears Tower. So like, who am I? You know what I mean? I did the same thing.
Yeah. But it's,
you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and, but
that's showbiz,
It's what?
I said that's showbiz,
Yeah.
Like,
and the other thing too is like, hey,
I'm trying to get this
Ethernet
thought
cable's
across.
Not working. Get your thought out.
I was saying it's no. I was saying it showed like basically it's like, listen, I don't want to take a picture of me leaning up against the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You don't want to see a picture of me pushing up Leaning Tower of Pisa, but we have to. That's showbiz.
Yeah, that's what has to happen. And like all those people doing that are promoting the city or promoting the neighborhood, and then more people show up. And after they take their silly picture that they waited for, they go and eat at the restaurants around, and they shop at the shops, and that brings money into the neighborhood, and that helps the town. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't want those people to do that, because like, great. But it is a little exhausting always, and Nashville certainly gets this, always being around people who are putting on a play. You know what I mean? They're doing a performance that is social media, where they're doing their little like play of like, look everybody, I'm happy. And it's like, oh god, can I go to a place where no one's trying to be happy? Like the house band at Rockies was a band called Pizza Riot that is fairly problematic, but you know, whatever. Some of their songs are fun. And they're a punk band called Pizza Riot, and like there's a big piece of graffiti, or there was a piece of graffiti in Rockies on the wall that said "Pizza Riot sucks," that the lead singer drew. Like before one of the shows, he was just, you know, plastered, and he just like got a big Sharpie or something and just wrote like "Pizza Riot sucks," and they would just play punk music, and they would scream and yell, and at some point through the middle of every song they would start to play the song All Star by Smash Mouth, but never quite get through it. And it was just like this gross, pretty good, wild band that was just like, man, I like this place. And when I would try to show people Pizza Riot or bring people to Rockies, they were just like, I don't like this. This is weird. It's not scary. It's just like, this is weird and I don't like it, and I want to go to the nice bar. And it's like, great, cool, go do that. Go to the nice bar where everyone's taking photos of themselves and talking about how that girl's shoes, you know what I mean? That girl's shoes don't match, right? Like, oh, did you see blah 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 at blah blah blah? She was blah blah blah. No one's doing that at Rockies because no one cares, and we're just playing pool, and like the bartender would come from behind the bar and play NBA Street. Like they would set up a TV in the middle of the bar. Oh, and also there is always a TV in the back of the bar where they're playing a movie on mute.
It's banana stuff.
Constantly.
Yeah.
It was always in the middle of a show, no matter what was happening. There was always a movie on loop, on mute, with closed captioning, I guess, to watch it. I don't know why. There was always happening. And it was just like gross. It was like a gross place to be. But it was like, you know what though? No one's going to put this on their Instagram story. And I can just kind of hang out here and no one's going to like take a picture. And I really like that. Like no one here is performing because no one would ever want to show anyone this place. You know what I mean? We have a place like that in town called Santa's Pub. I guess. I don't know. I've only been a couple times. But like it's a double wide trailer that is Christmas themed all year round. And they have karaoke every night. And everyone smokes inside. And it's just like rad. It's just like a break. Like I don't go there all the time. That's not like my bar, but it's just like nice. It's just like a nice place to go and be like, okay, I can just relax. Like no one here is performing. Again, I've only been once or twice. Maybe it's like the Vandy bar and I don't know it, but like as far as I can tell, it's just like a grimy place.
I mean, it could turn into one of those situations. There was one place in our college town, Bowling Green, where every Wednesday or so we would all go to this insano country bar and just like, and there was a gazillion people there. Remember that place?
Yeah, Betty's. Betty's is also a rat. Now here's what's great about Betty's. Here's the thing about Betty's is Betty's was okay. Every summer, everyone on Wednesdays,
everyone.
No, I'm not kidding. Everyone who went to WKU on Wednesdays would go to Betty's for karaoke. I was one of these everyone. If you stayed over the summer, if you stayed in Bowling Green over the summer, you would go to Betty's. And I went. I remember I have plenty of memories there at Betty's. We would go all the time. But here's the thing about Betty's. You know, I said there's only 4 bars in town. Well, there's only 4 bars in walking distance. That's changed now. But when we were in school, there were 4 bars in walking distance of campus. So if you're going out, you're going to go to one of these 4 bars. Betty's was like very far away and you had to drive.
Yeah, like
here's what's wild about
carpool.
Betty's. Yeah, you had to, which means you had to have a designated driver. So I go and eventually we meet Betty, who is this crazy old lady. So we're standing.
Yeah.
We're talking, we're blah blah blah. It's are you in this story?
I am in this story.
Okay, so it's you, me, and Charlie.
I vividly remember this.
Okay, so it's you, me, and Charlie.
Because that was my first time ever going there. Was you meeting Betty? Was me going there for the first time?
Okay, so you meet frequent guest on the show, Charlie, and then 2 or 3 girls who I honestly don't remember who it was. I mean, sure, it was just our friends, but
and I think the twins.
Oh, really? Were they involved?
I
Whatever,
think
it doesn't
so.
matter. Anyway, whatever. So this gaggle of these gaggle.
No,
of
they
people.
were, because there was that thing we had to show our IDs, and then they had like a joke about it.
Right. And I remember there were two girls because they were really spooked by that part. So we're standing in the back of Betty's, and it's whatever. I'm not going to describe what the bar looks like, but it's a bar. There's like a horseshoe part where the bar is, and then there's like a little divider, and we're kind of over on the other side of the divider drinking beer. And this like skinny lady just like comes out of a back room, and it's called Betty Boops.
Yeah.
So it's like Betty Boop, like the cartoon. And she's just like, hey, come back here. I'm like,
Yes.
all right, buckle up. I guess we're doing this. And so it's like, okay, whatever. She's like, hey, come back here. We're like, okay. So we go back into this back room, and we all get back then. She goes, all right, show me your IDs, which was a big tone shift of like, wait a minute, what are we in trouble? We're all 21, but it's just like, what? And this is when the girls got spooked. They were
Yeah.
like, are we in trouble? You know, it's like, maybe, I don't know. So we show our IDs. She's like,
Probably. It's like, listen, like this is a yes and situation.
Right.
Like, we're gonna have to buckle up for this.
this lady seems cool. I mean, she seems wacky, but she seems like she's not a cop. So like, let's see. And again, we're all 21 in this. I mean, we're all over 21 in this story. So like, whatever, we're fine. But she's being weird. She's like, okay, so I like to play this game. I'm like, whoa, what? She's like, I like to play this game where you go into the parking lot and everybody stands in a semicircle, and then I shoot you. You shoot us? Yeah. I shoot you, and you fall on the ground. I go bang, and you fall on the ground, and I'll buy you a drink. So let me get this straight. Who are you? Like, are you Betty? I still do not know if that was true. I said, are you Betty? And she's just like, yeah, I'm Betty. So you go into the parking lot, and I'm going to go bang, like a finger gun. Yeah, like a finger gun. Okay. And I'm going to go bang, and then you fall on the ground, and I'll buy you a free beer.
Mm-hmm.
So all I got to do is fall on the ground, and I get a free beer. Yeah. Okay, crazy beer witch. I'll go do that. Sure. So we got into the parking lot, and whatever, it goes like that. And it's you and me and I guess the twins and Charlie. And the girls didn't want to fall on the ground because it's a gravel parking lot. And sure, whatever, that's fine. So so we stand on the parking lot in the semicircle, and there's a bunch of dudes out there. There's security. Let me mention this. I've gone to this bar a bunch. I've never seen her ever do this. She made it sound like this is a thing she does every week.
This is like the tradition that like she like it's happening over and over and over again.
I promise you, it absolutely does not. Like, I've never seen this happen. But she just goes bang, 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 bang. We all fall on the ground. She's like, all right, great. So we go back into the bar, and she goes up to the bartender and goes, these guys get free drinks. And she bought us a round of drinks, and it was the craziest thing. But so we start talking to the bartender, and I'm like, look, man, what is this place? Like, Betty's on Wednesday, they do karaoke over the summer. Like, what is the deal? Like, it's a very specific thing. It's out of the way. How did this happen? And the dude looks at me and goes, honestly, I have no idea. I said, what do you mean? He goes, we do karaoke every night, all year round. Like, we have no idea what's going on. And just like several years ago in the story, this is several more years now, but it was like several years ago, people just started showing up. And they were showing up and showing up. We don't have a beer special. We don't do anything different. We do karaoke every night. We have no idea. And then they just only started coming on Wednesdays. And we didn't do anything different. Just slowly but surely, the city of Bowling Green decided that only in the summer, only on Wednesdays, for karaoke, we will go to this bar that is doing all of those things all year round. And it was just this like crazy little, and you know what? As soon as the school year started, no one ever talked about Betty's. It never came up ever again.
Yeah, no,
like, it was
absolutely not. Because like
it was like a mirage.
Because I didn't know about it at all. It was a sparkler. It was lightning in a bottle. It was a firework. But this existed for a moment and it was gone.
But every summer, and this crazy like beer wizard lived in the back, and she just like, I don't know. I have no idea. I never saw that lady again. She's just like, I don't know, man. It's a crazy bar. And it just showed up during the summer, and it was like we'd show up, and you know what? We did it every summer. We would go do karaoke. It was so wild.
It was Brigadoon. Like, it would only exist for that one moment, and then it would just disappear into the nothing space. That was one of my like favorite little, because I had never been there before, and like and Sam said everyone, and so I was just like, because when that whole parking lot thing happened, there were still people coming inside. Like we were there pretty early, which is why I think we were chosen by Betty Boop to do this really weird, this tradition that she never did ever
That
again.
she made up and ended right there with us.
Yeah. But I was just, and this, like, I don't know if like how much of this place you can imagine, but just like a country bar, like just like it was
Just a bar.
It was an empty space with like a circular or like a bar in the middle. And you just like, it looked like a place that like could very easily have also been a diner. Like it was just like the walls were like that, like plywood and, like, you know, like rinky dink stuff on the wall. Like it would like, there was no direction for this space. It was just like, this is a building and we have an alcohol license. And
every Wednesday, 200
and when Sam says everyone showed up, that place was packed. Like you could not move anywhere. And I was like, what a magical, dumb thing this is. Because you talked on and on about it. And I really thought that it was like, oh, this is good, like probably like, you know, like 40 people or so. But no, it was one of the most crowded places I've ever been. And I was like blown away.
Well, and the great thing about Bowling Green in the summer, what was really fun about it is if you were old enough to go to bars, you know, there was a very select select is the wrong word. There's a very small crowd that stayed. And so you would go to bars and you would see the exact same. You would have like your bar friends for the summer who you just saw them every, like there was a great beer special on Thursdays at Bruco that I'm sure we've talked about. And like you would see them at Bruco on Thursday. You would see them at Betty's on Wednesday. And like you could just repeat that every single week. No matter what, you would see the same 25 people over and over and over again. Cause like, everybody went out.
Yeah,
what else?
Yeah, that was like that was like a joke. Right. Was like you could have like a tic-tac-toe of the people you'd see.
Absolutely. You mean yeah, like a bingo.
A tic-tac-toe. I said tic-tac-toe. I meant to say. Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. You meant bingo. It's fine.
I meant bingo. Whatever.
It's fine. Anyway, yeah, it was such a fun scene because you would just like go to work because you know we all had jobs. So you would just work during the day and, you know, you get off at 5 and then you're sitting. I lived in the fraternity house over the summer, which was really fun. So you just come home and everybody gets off work at 5 and it's like, all right, what are you guys going to do? It's like, I don't know. We could just like watch TV and play video games until like 9 and then just go to a bar. It's like, okay, great. And we would just do that all the time. It was a lot of fun, man. It was really good. Mm. And that's all from my fun college memories.
Yeah. Well, while I still have you for the next little bit, I did want, and I never really, like, I didn't get back to this because one thing that doesn't happen on the show notes that the audience can see, but I'm one of the worst texter backers in the world.
For sure. For sure.
And you had sent me this one thing talking about, and I was... A funny thing, because I'd spent a lot of time pondering over this, but I didn't think through, like, I'm interested in what you say about it. So you had sent me a lyric by The Long Winters, and the lyric is, I'm bailing water, and I'm bailing water because I like the shape of the boat, and how that can be seen through, like, the idea of hindsight. And... like, I don't know that song. And so I only had to go off what this has here. So I don't know if it expands upon the thing anymore, but I'm actually interested to hear what you have to say about that in the remaining time we have left.
Sure. I mean, we got like, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, one, I wanted to sort of intro my, obsession with John Roderick. And if that's not, clear that I'm trying to bite his style and be John Roderick, it ought to be. But like I really like John Roderick, and he's the lead singer of The Long Winters, and I like his music and I like his podcast, and just think he's a real cool dude. But he wrote this song on the album Putting the Days to Bed called Hindsight, and one of the lyrics that struck me, there's a pair of lyrics that I really like. Roderick is really meticulous about his lyrics, and sometimes they're really cryptic, and so much so that you couldn't possibly understand them unless you're him personally. But he always emphasizes that like all the lyrics mean something. You might not know it because you weren't in that Denny's with me in 1988, so like you wouldn't get what this means, but they are all like thought over and mean something. one of the running jokes about the song Teaspoon, that he says teaspoon like 15 times. It's like part of the chorus. He just says teaspoon over and over again. And one of the jokes about that song is that every time he says it, it means a different thing. Like it's a different, like teaspoon is a different metaphor every single time. I don't know if that's true, but that's the joke about the song. Anyways, he's really meticulous. So I'm probably missing a lot of better examples. But 2 lyrics that really struck me from the song, Hindsight, where I'm bailing water and I'm bailing water because I like the shape of the boat. And then another lyric later on where he says, I didn't send this to you, but he says, you're preparing for the big race by hoping all the other runners will die. And I it's thought-provoking to me because I think about situations in my life and just situations I've seen where you are fighting and fighting and fighting to make something work or to justify a decision or to continue a status quo because it's comfortable, right? You're bailing water because you like the shape of the boat, which of course in that metaphor is completely ridiculous. Like what a crazy thing to do, but that's why it's a good metaphor. It's pointing out how crazy that is. And I don't know, I just want to know if you had any situations like that in your life. And certainly on the topic of self-improvement, like that's something I think about of like, am I doing this because I'm comfortable? Am I doing this because I am familiar with this and I know this? Or is this a good idea? Because, you don't want to constantly be fighting for something or moving towards something just because you like the idea of it. When I was in film school, I'm an animator now, but when I was in film school, I started as a director. And I liked the idea of being a director. Well, then when I went to actually direct, I didn't like it that much. I didn't really enjoy it. It was not something that I found very fun. Because I have a hard time, and maybe this is part of because it was being in college, but I have a hard time with people who are not interested in trying, like people who don't want to give an effort. I just don't have a lot of patience for, because I care a lot about what I do. And so I would work with people on film sets and like real people, live people. And they were just like, the worst thing is whenever you'd be working on a student film and they would get the sound guy in there. And I did this once and I hated myself. I was so mad at myself for doing this, but we like really did need another person. And I was like, crap. And like one of the extras didn't show up or something. And so I was like, hey, sound guy, can you just sit and like just be in this scene? But that always made me so mad because it was just like people didn't care and people wouldn't show up and producers wouldn't call the people that needed to show up. And I was working on a project and I had to pick up a lot of slack and I was really frustrated. And I'm not a very good writer, to be frank. Like I'm just not. I don't practice. I'm not good at it. And I had come to a point where I really liked the shape of the boat. I liked the idea of being a director. But I had to really say like, you know what, man, I can't do this. Like this is not for me. I'm not a good writer. I don't like working with people in this way. I don't like having to, like, the golden hour is great and all that, but like I don't like having to worry about what time it is or having to worry about where the sun is or running out of time. I don't like that. I don't like the idea of having 16-hour days on set. Like set can be really fun, but at the same time, like I want to have a family and I want to stay in the same town, and like all these things were coming together at the end of my freshman year to say like, I'm bailing water because I like the shape of the boat, and I had to really take account of that and decide to do something different. And so then I had a summer job where I rented out equipment, and they had editing software on their computer, and that's how I got my career started. I was working at this place and I had to learn the software for the job, and it was the summer in Bowling Green and I wasn't 21, so I couldn't go anywhere, and so I just worked all day and just I ended up working 10, 11, 12-hour days, but it was because I would, as soon as I'd clock out, I'd just stay there and work on my stuff. And whatever, this isn't about my career, except for that I had this moment where I said, I'm just here because I like the shape of the boat. I need to make a different choice, and the different choice I made led to a career that I was absolutely obsessed with. Right, I went from something where I was like, I do not want to spend 6 months working 12-hour days on a set dealing with people who don't care, which I guess that's still true. I mean, whatever. But I wouldn't want to work with animators that don't care either.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and because I gave up that thing that was comfortable and gave up that thing that made me feel safe, because it's what I had planned and it's what I was going for and it's what I had expected, I gave that up for the unexpected, and then I found a career that I really love. And now I easily could spend 12-hour days working on projects over and over and over again. Granted, I don't have to worry about the sun, which is nice, but you know what I mean? Like, I took that leap. The thing about the runners, I think, is just a funny line. I guess it's sort of a different point. That's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm talking about with that line of are there situations in your life and how did they make you feel and what did you do where you were just bailing water because you like the shape of the boat?
I mean, as you were saying that, I was resonating with a lot of it. I think that I've always thought of it as a more like interpersonal way, like so like the thing where you find yourself in a bad situation, but you're going to keep investing your time into it, to keep investing your life into it. Like, I think that's like the very old romantic comedy adage of like, you don't love me, you just love the idea of me. And I think I think that's just the essence of that statement, is that you're doing this because you think you have to, or you want to maintain this idea of like what it means to be successful. And you ended up, like, over the course of time, like bamboozling yourself because you have thought that this is the way you've always wanted to be. And it didn't become like, I like this. It's like you kind of, I've been using this example a lot, but you, like, through having that thought be so present in your life over the course of time, like with you with editing, or you doing directing, it's like, it's almost like, I love it because it's always been there, but it's like a thought that you had. And so, like, you almost like Stockholm syndromed your way into loving it because it's something that's like, it's comfortable because it's always been there. So yeah, I think there's like a lot of things that people will actively pour themselves into, and like even though they don't even like doing it, I think like to have some semblance of a through line through this whole thing, back to that wall in Nashville with the wings, you like, people have this like maintained idea of like reputation, and they'll pour everything into it, and it's like, this is not something I like doing, but it's something I feel like I have to do because I like the shape of the boat. Like, I like to have the benefits of it, or I think that I like doing this. But yeah, no, that's something I did not, what's the word I'm looking for? That's much more involved, and I think a lot more impactful than I thought of it, which is clear, obvious, because you're the one that brought the lyric to me.
Right, I brought it up. It's funny because I texted that to frequent guest on the show, Robert, and I was like, hey, here's a lyric that made me think of you because I think it's something you're very good at. And I think the lyric is clear. Like, as soon as the first time I heard it, I was just like, oh, yeah, I totally know that feeling. And he texted me back. He's like, I have no idea what this means, but thanks for the text. I was like, okay, never mind. I thought this was plain, but all right.
Yeah. And so I think, though, this is one thing that in the essence of getting better, one thing I have been kind of realizing over the course of the last 2 weeks, we skipped last week because once again I have too much water.
Oh my gosh, we forgot to talk about how you have too much water.
I will just very briefly say that my washing machine broke and it was filled with water and it wouldn't drain, and so I got these two guys to come look at it, and they're the best guys in the world. They were the ones, like, they were having a really long day, and they showed me how much it would cost to fix it, and it was like $300 or $400. And I was like, oh man, like, you're about to watch me have no dryer for like 6 months because we can't, like, I'm not going to, like, there's no way I can pitch this to my roommates, two of which were moving out that day. Yeah. Well, we do now, actually, right now, right now we had to deny people. We had this whole, like, interview process we didn't think we were going to have. But I have two new guys living in my house. So anyway, these guys came to the house, and the guy showed me it was gonna be $400, And then I was like, oof, man, that really womps, da 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 da. And I was like, about to go into the speech of like having to get other estimates. And then he said, hey, follow me. And then I like walked down to him, and then he like got a paper clip and then like jerry rigged it around inside of the thing itself, and then all the water drained. And I was like, what? And then he held his hand over the logo that was on his shirt, and he said, you didn't hear this from me. And then he began to tell me how to fix it, like with like just like with the like a paper clip, like just like making a little like thing to trick the machine into thinking it wasn't broken. So it ended up being a great day, because I got to meet these two guys that were so fed up with their jobs that they just like gave me the biggest solid of all time. So
that's cool. I would tell you to give them a shout out, but super don't.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Sound great.
Super don't.
Super don't say who that is.
Yeah, the guy had like a 4.8 customer service rating, and I was like, that's really high. And now I know it's like because he is like, listen, like here's the deal. And he was great. Anyway, but one thing I've been thinking over the course of the last 2 weeks, and I think that kind of lends into the idea of like doing something for the sake of doing it, even though you don't like doing it. One thing I think that, and I'll get into this a little bit more next week, I guess, when I've had some more time to think it through. But I've noticed, so I've been looking through my old journal entries and like trying to get the process, because while you and I have two different processes, I think, of like actively getting better, where yours is a very like active pursuit of getting better with like your job or the things you're interested in, your hobbies.
Sure.
And mine is
obsessive.
Very obsessive. Yeah.
Some doctors would call it obsessive. Yeah. Yes.
And I think mine is very rooted in like exploring my own like psyche or motivations, or like constantly trying to become a more self-realized, more like a greater version of myself that is based upon me finding out through like a lot of intensive meditation, or like always reading about like how to, not like self-help books, but just like basically reading into the psyche of like kind of like diving through your own past in a way to like notice through lines and then see what you can and can't like learn from it. Anyway, one thing that I think that I've noticed, and like it is very clear, like it's obvious now, but a through line I've found through a lot of my like journal entries, as well as like things I've been struggling with, has been my tendency to lean towards perfectionism, which kind of manifests itself in a way that is like, if I'm not going to do it right the first time, then don't bother doing it at all. And I think the things that I have, and like to get it back to the boat example, the things that I have found I'm doing, I will like put all of my energy into, and I'll put all of my effort into, because like it's almost like I have attributed my self-value with the value of that thing itself. And so I'm pouring a lot of myself into things that are or pouring myself a lot into like either relationships or like pursuits of excellence that are like detrimental to me, because it's not out of my love of doing them. It's out of my like necessity to be great at it, or like be perfect at it, or else like my value will decrease because my ability to do that thing has also decreased, if that makes sense.
That's tough.
Yeah. So that, like,
yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking of as you were talking about, like having your, like that was, so with me, it was like having your value wrapped up in the shape of the boat rather than like your own sanity.
Yeah. Cause that's essentially what that's what I think the lyric is about, is right. Like basing your identity in something. Yeah, I mean, I guess your identity is made up of some things that you base your identity in, but like that moment where you realize you have based your identity in something that you really do not care that much about, and its only value to you is the fact that you base your identity on it, and it's just like, crap. Like, I don't actually care about this, but I'm really, really, invested in. Apparently, I care about this, and that's a tough thing. I mean, whatever, man. It's hard. That's a tough thing to sort of reconcile, and what's worse is once you do realize it, being like, oh crap, now I got to stop doing it, and that's even harder.
Yeah, and like kind of, because you can't just like stop doing the thing. You also have to at the same time like like have yourself believe that your value isn't tied up with it. So it's like not just like a switch of like, whoop, like you got like I'm not tricked anymore, and then you like flip a switch. It's like a very like slow process of like trying to distance yourself from your value being tied up in that thing. So yeah,
it's tough, man.
It's tough, man.
All right.
See you. Bye forever.